Artists and robots, I hope you had a nice lunch and some refreshments along the way. The next speaker will try to give us an answer to a very important question. Should I AI or not? Our next speaker is Marcel Noack. He is born in 1980 in GDR. He is a freelance artist and a photographer, graphic artist, image editor and lithographer, curator, editor and freelance lecturer with international exhibitions and publications. He is a board member of IGBK since 2018 and speaker since 2023, board member of this association and the speaker of Bundesverband Bildender Künstlerinnen und Künstler, board member of the WG Bildkunst, Collecting Society for Visual Authors, and member of the initiative Urheberrecht. I don't speak German, only basic, but initiative copyright. That's what's important for us to understand. So Marcel, welcome to the floor, and I'm curious about the AI and should we AI or not?
So hello, and thanks for the introduction, but I hope my voice will be stable, so I'm a little bit more than cold. But I'm talking more about art, AI, and visual author rights. And so what I'm going to tell the next minutes and so on will mostly themes which are very, how to say it, in the European Parliament actual. So even if you are actually in Serbia here, I just recognized that the European Parliament make a draft. The G7 states had had done in paper to regulate AI, and so everybody who wants have time till Friday to put some input on the drafts. But what will I'm going to be and make today? Sorry. At first, we have to say then. When we had the Digital Single Market Act in 2019, there was one big thing inside called text and data mining, which means that you can pick up information worldwide if you want to use it for scientists or something like that, but not for monetary stuff. When we now see what with ChatGPT in the end of last year and all the other AI apps revealing now have done is to crawl the internet, and they are, or they say they are based on the text and data mining. So the thing which is actually in the European Parliament in the trilogue, it's the AI Act. It started, I'm not sure actually, I think 5 years ago, but they are in the final discussion. So how to deal with all the things were stolen from authors, what barriers we can arrange inside. We have to say that Europe is one step in front of this one, which means so worldwide we don't have any legal positions like that actually. But what I want to go inside are some facts about AI in general, the generative AI, the act maybe, and of course the copyright issues. So from Germany we have quite a lot of positions done in the earlier times this year, beginning in March. And afterwards, or in the end, I will bring some examples how AI is working, what material is used, what is input and output, and I think it will be more interesting afterwards for questions, because this theme is very hard to understand, and I try to make it as easy as possible. But just imagine you have this glass, your maybe artwork or creations in digital space, just keep it in mind. I will come later to it. So just imagine, you know, we have Corona, or had Corona, or maybe not someone. But the shift to the digital media was very clear. So a lot of things were shown online. And this was always the time when the crawler started to use the information to work with it. I will come to further on it. But on the other hand, with ChatGPT, what we now have are some outputs from work who were copyrighted, protected, and what we see now is that the artists and all the authors didn't get any remuneration or credit, or maybe their works are used for disinformation or for information, deepfake, and so on and so on. So it's not clear what to make, how to handle this, and therefore I want to show the first example from the German Photographic Academy, Deutsche Fotografische Akademie, which appeared quite early in March this year. So, and they made it 3 bullet points. They said, so at first, the creative freedom and copyright must be protected, and these are the most important things for all the authors. So when I have examples from the Photographic Academy and so on, you can put it in the same shell like visual artist itself. And so the DFA advocates an adaptation of copyright law that allows that the output from all these AI apps doesn't have any copyright protection itself. It's more interesting how you use other rights. You can have remuneration from collecting society. So this issue is something which must be forehand negotiated in the parliament. Second step, fair participation. So it was the women before who said you can write a poem in the style of, you can make music in the style of, and what all of these systems have in common, that the authors itself doesn't know what information from their works are used, and they don't have any information for what it's used. So it's like, we had it before, like a bubble. So any apps can use it, but to know or to handle about and talk about remuneration or money instead, you have to know what is used. So fair participation is an aim, but you need special things for that. And I think one of the most important points actually when we talk about deepfake, AI, and so on is the protection of documentary truthfulness. It means, so just the German Photographic Academy says, okay, you can edit a picture, then you must have a sign edit. You can have an AI picture, then it's an AI edit, or it's just, how to say, human done without edited, so it's a human thing. I think it's a little bit strange. So I come from the documentary photography, and that I have to say that my work is done by human and not by AI is something very special. But if you think about the World Wide Web and all the information who is spreading, this is a really big problem, and in the end of my speech I will show a small video about it, what I mean exactly. Another point, the second, from the Deutscher Fotorat, the German Photographic Council, who is quietly new, So it formed just in, I would say in summer this year. And it combines a lot of different audiovisual companies inside or collecting societies, and they speak with one big voice. And they're very specialized, you have to say, in what photographic pictures can tell, what not, what it's right, what's not. And they are acting maybe the same like the thing I said before. So without permission and remuneration, AI systems use authors' intellectual property just for the training material. And this is a point where they ask for more transparency, what data are used and which not. So this is a point I mentioned with positioning to AI images generators. Then the next big thing, what I told before, that AI images are not photographic images. It's really important to understand. So only human can make artworks. All output, these are all products. So it's very important to know this difference, because when you have the collective societies and you make or you want to get money from them, you can't say, oh, there's a picture from me there in this magazine and so on and on when it's done with Dali or something else, because there isn't any copyright on this one. So we really need some kind of watermarks, approval, but how, it's just negotiated. And now the biggest part, the initiative Urheberrecht, and I can say it in Germany better, Initiative Urheberrecht. It's a really big organization which contains of more than 44 members with, I would say, 140,000 authors from all the fields of visual arts. So like musicians or speakers, voice makers, all you can imagine. And so we have a really strong mandatory when we talk to the policy in Germany, and even when we have, or when we make some drafts directed exactly to the European Parliament, when we say, okay, this copyright issues has to be overthought, that's the work of us. Just know a little bit from the institutions which are inside. What have you done, or what is the initiative copyright doing? So the last thing was published, I would say it was in end of September, and it's called AI braucht Leitplanken, AI needs guidelines, I would say, something like that. So that it's not a free room. So we need some kind of road, of barriers to see or to see what AI doesn't have to make. So just a company, which was done in Berlin, and beside it's maybe very interesting for you. The website from the initiative copyright is called urheber.info, and it's in German and in English, and there are a lot of papers inside if you want to address a European Parliament with recommendations to the recent AI Act, and therefore you can use this material too from this website. On the other hand, the initiative makes 3 or 4 times in a year different magazines to special themes. So the last one was from June, it's called AI, but maybe you can't read it. And this is the speaker, and maybe when you can read it, machines don't give you goosebumps. So that's the point. So we have to keep in mind that we are human and we make creative work. So we studied, so we tried, we have errors and learning. And making mistakes and go ahead makes the artworks or the creations what we do very unique, and we have to keep this definitely in our mind. One thing from this one, from my organization, Bundesverband, so National Association of Fine Arts Germany, so it was published just last month. It's about art and AI, and it could be or can be read online on the website too. The good point with this picture is there's any copyright on it because it's Dali done. I don't know what's prompt where, so make me some robots in a city in the future with no cars, something like that. But you see, when I wrote the abstract, I talked a little about from NFTs who appeared suddenly 2-3 years ago, and they vanished really fast. Or I would say they aren't actually not so in the media actually. But with this ChatGPT system and all the AI picture generating apps, there's now a new new boundary coming. Well, just to give you an overview, it's just a little bit from what AI apps exist. So you have things for everybody: data analytics, autonomous systems, deep learning, image recognition, security, machine learning, data collection, process automation, software development, chatbot, cognitive computing, Internet of Things, natural, and so on and so on. And as far as I know, there exists a website. There is an AI for everything.com, something like that. I have to take a look. So you can just pick what you want to make. So I want to write a poem, and then the search engine says to you, okay, you need this app for this device to get the best input done. Another thing, if just the use is using all these apps for making your, I don't know, more beauty and so on and so on. You make a selfie, something on. This picture from you goes in the cloud, in the data. This picture now belongs to the firm. They use it to train their own material, and later maybe you are part of another system from AI systems. So everything you upload when you use an AI will be reused again, will be trained. So it's every time about training, 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 training. So the glass of water, once again. So you have your artworks or creations in your digital space. On the left, on the right, you have what is using from your work without any permissions, and you see it's all. So you don't have any possibility to say, actually, no, I don't want that my material will be used. It's only written that you can make it by text, a small text, something like that on your website, for example, which can be read by machines, but it's not written how does it work. So it's just a thing which nobody knows actually how to deny that your work will be used. To understand what the main problem will be for all of us as authors is very simple. So at first there is some kind of crawler, a crawling machine who generates the data and collects it. And then you have the second term is the data creation. So maybe one app wants to make houses or architecture or dogs or I don't know. Just imagine something. And so you've got all your small boxes. Then all the stuff goes to the foundation model, and this is the point where the remuneration could be very interesting, because the foundation models use all the information itself to create new apps and software and so on. They are the key where all the information who was grabbed before from the internet, they will use later to that you buy an app or you are you. So afterwards, the foundation models makes a fine-tuning and so on and so on, and the application, and what I said before, if someone uses the app and makes a selfie or something else, it will start again. So it's a circle. So it doesn't end at the application when it's finished, so it will be learning again and again and again. Without permission, we have to say, and without human narration. It was told before that you can understand AI as a tool or AI as agent, and in this case you can have different positions how to handle it. I don't want to go so much in detail with this thing, but that makes it really hard to say. It was called before AI art, and so I'm not afraid of it, but I can do understand if someone who's working with AI or using Photoshop and prompts and prompts and prompts and is very keen on it, how to make good prompts and has his idea in mind. So it could be an artwork or something like that, but officially it's not. So when we talk about art in this case, maybe you have to print this artwork on and paint it over. I don't know. So working on it, I can only say. But why AI? At first, it's money. It's really a lot of money who is beyond these systems. And with this point, who controls generative AI? You see ChatGPT in June 2020, and then a long time nothing. A long time in media times means maybe just 1 year, and then a lot of other different scrolling machines checked the internet, I would say, and you see the in brackets the approbation from the scrolling systems. So what I know, so with ChatGPT 3, for example, this type of data comes from Line. Line was crawled in Hamburg by a non-profit organization. So it was not the aim to sell the information or the crawled information. But on the other hand, they give the information to Munich. So in that case, you can say, okay, text and data mining, what I mentioned just in the beginning, was clear. It allows you to use or crawl things just for scientists or something else, or university. What happens then was that this information goes to a company to use it to make AI products itself, and that's the problem, and that's the thing what I mentioned, that these will be done by foundation models where we have to force to get money from. Maybe this should be very clear where all the AI apps and so on will be found in our days. So smartphones. Look inside, you see your face on and it's unlocked or something else. So just in social media, everything is personalized. If you buy something and so on and so on. Google, smart home devices, streaming devices. To say, I think when we are now at an interesting point in, as word, I don't know how to say it. So when AI comes out, so everything will change. So we are just in the beginning from a kind of revolution, and it's hard to say in which manner it will influence our daily life and our working possibilities as artists, as authors. On the other hand, there are clearly advantages, we have to say. So seen there. So you have data-intensive tasks that can be completed really, really fast. And if you have data from, I don't know, 10 billion, and you're looking for a little small thing, AI is, or has a possibility to find this small thing which no human can arrange. Interesting is that the European Parliament had in its think tank from 2020 that AI will be increase the productivity in 2035 from a range 11 to 37%. That's quite much. On the other hand, it's really expensive to make this kind of crawling, the material you need. Just look at the economy, which enterprises are growing bigger and bigger and bigger. This is Microsoft, Nvidia, who needs graphic drivers, all the cloud storage, Amazon, and so on and so on. So what I mentioned, a lot of money, it's belong that. A problem is when I said it will be increasing the productivity, there will be losing of jobs. So one hand, the other hand. And what's maybe one of the most problems are the security risk. Who has control over all the dates? Can someone just make a hacking to a company to get all the information? What's with that? And what I said, you need a lot of server. You have to cooling it. So the environmental issues you have to keep in mind. Another interesting thing is it's called problems in the area of morals and ethics. Some keyword is an algorithmic bias. So AI is stupid, we have to say. When you ask ChatGPT something else, blah blah blah, and ChatGPT is saying you some or giving you some output, and you recognize, oh, there's a mistake, you say it, and then, oh yeah, you are right, it's a mistake. But it says, or the output, it's written in this kind of manner that if you don't know it, you believe it, and that's a really, really big problem. It is lying. It is lying, but it doesn't know that it's lying. So you have to check every time if you get information, if it's right or not. That could be really difficult if you don't know which information is done by AI or which is done by human, for example, or is in a library or something else. In the end, yeah, and just for us creatives or authors. So the thing is, AI lowers barriers to market entries. So what I mean with this point. So what I mentioned, I'm a photographer. So in my artworks, I'm working with documentary photography, so that's no problem. I don't see that an AI will have my backpack and my camera when I go in the countryside and pushing my analog film in the cassette, so no problem. But on the other hand, I do some pictures for architects and so on. With this barrier lowering down, I don't have this job anymore. And so for design services and so on, you just have to check an app, and so a lot of designers will have a problem because jobs are missing. It's done by AI. So, finally, all the things, all unpaid copyright works of raw data for AI systems, and what's happening, the value gap. So we are the first point in the chain, for information, for selling and distributions and so on. Our income will become slower and slower if you don't have any kind of remunerations. So I said, that the European Union is actually dealing with the AI Act, and they are very, very close. I hope they will finish it before we have in the new election next year. Otherwise, it would be a really big problem. Important to know is what the output of the AI is and what training material the AI is. So you can understand this kind just as a small summary. This one. Yeah, what to do actually. It's not so easy. On the technical level, you have some possibilities. So it would be okay, or it would be great if you have the possibility to opt out. What I mentioned, have a small text document on your website to say, I don't want that this web page is crawled, then it's okay, it's done. Or you have maybe the possibility to say you can crawl it, but I will have money for that. But there aren't any agreements actually about it. Yep, and you can blocking crawlers for itself, but the problem is if you're blocking these crawlers and you want to be found by search engines, you block yourself out. So you are forced a little bit to use it, and that's a really, really big problem. What can be done next? Yeah, watermark, what I mentioned, or seal of approval. So creation by human, I would say it's the best not to have this created by human. I would only have created by AI because I think in general all the information it's getting more and more and more and more by AI, and so I want to see how to say. I feel a little bit like a minority when I have to write down I'm a human under my work, I have to say. And digital rights management, that's one point. Yeah, and almost finally what we need, yeah, for crawling, a strong AI Act on European level. What I mentioned at the beginning, actually there's a draft with the G7 countries. You can give your feedback till Friday. And compensation obligation for text and data mining from the old one or the crawling which is done now. Just have to look at the time, okay. Finally, I don't want to go inside very deep with this European visual artist, so it's a collecting society, the European Collecting Society in Europe, which has really strong papers itself. I will not go inside because they are very, very directly to the different paragraphs on the draft, so it's not so easy to understand. If you're a lawyer, you can get it. And finally, I wanted to have...
This just in, we can now call the 2024 presidential race for Joe Biden.
My fellow Americans.
This morning, an emboldened China invades Taiwan.
Financial markets are in free fall as 500 regional banks have shuttered their doors.
Border agents were overrun by a surge of 80,000 illegals yesterday evening.
Officials closed the city of San Francisco this morning, citing the escalating crime and fentanyl crisis.
Who's in charge here? It feels like the train is coming off the tracks.
Shortly after Biden says he wants to be re-elected, so the Republican made a completely AI video. So it's nothing real in this video. It's all done by AI. And maybe when someone has seen this video is AI, had really good eyes. It's inside, but you can't see it. And that's the problem about misinformation, what you use with materials. And I don't know which material is inside this video, we have to say. So it's not about still pictures, it's moving pictures, it's design, it's everything you can imagine as an author. Okay. Questions?
My name is Sofia de la Fuente. I'm from Sweden. I wonder, because it's so big, it's impossible to win. I have like this feeling. So in a more concrete way. Who are like the counterpart, do you think, that we, the ones that work with a political påverkan, political and how do you say, påverkan? Yes, lobbying, and we work to have like better rights for the artists and good payment and so on. In these contexts, what do you think would be, probably more than one, like the interlocutor, I mean the other side of the negotiating as an organization, I mean?
Yeah, I mean a good example or step would be if the IAA Europe can directly say their positions to the European Parliament in the actual trilogue, and to say what are the things we fear that we and what we have to change, that we need income and we don't have so much like everyone knows. And it's really important to strengthen itself. So when you have the Digital Single Market Act, there's one interesting point in it, so that collecting societies have the ability to have extended collective licensing. So in Germany, it's like that we have this ECL system actually at the VG Bildkunst, and so the society can negotiate with companies for money, for all authors, we have to say. But this ECL license can be in countries, and so if it's not actually, it would be very great to ask the collecting society from the country to introduce this one, or the policy to say we need this one in our land. That's maybe one step to make it.
More questions?
Hello, Bedri Baykam, Turkey. Actually, I had one thing I lived this year with ChatGPT that I wanted to speak here about very shortly. One day my sister sent me from WhatsApp an article, and she said, look at this article about you, and it was a long feature article. I said, wow, that's quite something, very thoroughly, richly written, dense. And she said, well, it's written by ChatGPT when I asked about you. And then later she said, I was just busy writing long articles about the Wimbledon final in tennis. And she said, well, you don't need to write anymore, like spend 5 hours, 4 hours writing long tennis articles. You can ask this from ChatGPT, and you've seen the match, and you can just retouch it a little. This is how people are thinking now, And I said, no, I don't believe you can do that. And then to prove this to her, I tried. I said, I asked to ChatGPT to write an article about Wimbledon final. I had already sent mine to the paper. But it wrote a beautiful article saying that Djokovic had won, but he had lost. And it was a long article explaining in detail how Djokovic had won the 2023 Wimbledon final. Yeah. So this is how dangerous ChatGPT can become. As you said, if the person who reads doesn't know the mistakes involved. So when ChatGPT says, sorry, later, I'll correct it, sorry, many times it wouldn't help if the mistake is done. So it's a very dangerous zone nowadays.
Yeah, another point is it's the possibility, or not the possibility, the thing about discrimination. So what material goes inside from which person? And so you don't have everybody in the world with the same percentage inside the system. You have such a wide view on it, a Western view on it, and so when I maybe asking Dali or something else, make me a woman, I don't think there will be a black woman or people of color inside. So the system has really big problems itself. Yeah. So therefore, don't trust it.
Yeah.
It's a system, yeah, what you give inside.
No, it's like the predictability of Djokovic winning was very high because the previous data was, the machine is trained by the data it gets. And as he has won so many Wimbledons before, there was a prediction of the data could only say what's before. And usually ChatGPT say, I have no information by 2021. If it comes after 2021, I'm not trained to deliver any truth about it.
It doesn't say that.
It's
just live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, it's about Djokovic
But
and how...
one thing to add, what it's really important, what everybody has to know, that when we have the AI output itself, it's learning from itself. So if you don't have a watermark on it that this is AI output, so it's learning by itself from its own features and features and features, and so in the end it's over. So it's an interesting system, but learning from mistakes on and on, problem.
Yeah, just I heard that in European Union it's now in the process this about copyrights and AI. How to make this waterproof or copyrights, but I heard also that in Italy is forbidden ChatGPT. So can you say, is it because of this copyrights or what is about copyright?
It was forbidden in Italy not because of copyright. It was forbidden because of the
Balenciaga? No?
Data about the personal rights from the persons were given to the app, and you don't have this in Europe. So you have, I don't know. Yes, thank you. That was the point, but actually it's on again in Italy.
But one example of how AI can influence what's happening was this Mid-Journey, I think it was Mid-Journey, Pope dressed in Balenciaga. And then because people thought like, wow, Pope is dressed in Balenciaga. Well, actually it was just an artist who was high on mushrooms somewhere in US. And he dressed up the Pope in Balenciaga, but everybody thought it was so real that at the end, Vatican signed a contract with Balenciaga to remodel their own uniforms because, and it is one like how AI can actually influence fashion, so to say, in Italy. Yeah. More questions?
My name is Geir Bergjord. I'm the president of Visual Norwegian Artists. This is not a question, it's more like a comment to some of those things you said in the end, like opt-out. These solutions for opt-out that are so far, you will have to opt out every artwork you made, which means for artists who maybe made hundreds or thousands of artworks, you will have to opt out every one of those, which is not really possible. And then you have these blocking crawlers. For visual artists, our work are spread on many websites where you cannot have access and actually do this blocking. That is a problem. And also that the internet or the web is already scraped of all visual artwork. So back to the first one, opt-out seems like a solution presented not for the developers of artificial intelligence not to pay the artist. Like you can opt out, but it's not really possible for us. Tack.
But keep in mind, so all the data were crawled in 2000 earlier. 17 or something else, so quite a long time ago. So, but every system needs new data. So this trend is over. So all the data are free. You can't make anything anymore. But there will be a new wave from collecting pictures, images, artworks, creations, and so on and so on. And this could be the point to handle or work with the foundation models to say, okay, I don't make an opt-out, but I want to have money for that. Or I want to have a special tax for AI companies and so on in a fund, for example. I don't know, so I'm not in the politicians. That will directly go to a special fund, for example. I don't know, but keep in mind later, but this train is over.
One progress AI has done enormously is on what we call Google Translate, Google Translation. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, we give a text to Google Translate to laugh, to see how funny things could sound through the computers, the artificial intelligence translation. But now it's also scary. Now it has become like, with all the corrections people kept giving back, it has become almost very close to human touch. And I'm scared and happy to think that maybe soon I'll be able to give one of my books in Turkish and have it back in English or Spanish. And I don't know if we should be happy or sad about it, but AI has done a huge step in that field. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure, that's right. But when we're learning languages or foreign languages, or we going to the states and countries, we get to know the people, we get influenced by them, and we work with them in our own artworks. So I do understand DeepL and so on, it's wonderful, it's great, I have to say. But when you translate this and you have a book, it maybe would be better to have a good designer to design the book again with all those different languages and a good thing. It's a little bit more.
Yeah. For instance, I checked the translation, one chapter of one of my books into French. Well, there was still like maybe 10% corrections I had to do. But I just think that maybe soon, in a few years, that 10% will be brought down to 1%, or just subjective translation choices.
It's easier to connect people, you have to say. If I would write someone to China, I don't can Mandarin. So great if it exists.
To quote Gregor Mebius, we know what's the limit of a human brain, but we don't know yet what's the limit of artificial intelligence, because it's still growing and improving itself.
Sky is the limit.
The cloud is the limit.
Hello. I have a comment and a question. And the comment would be that we have two somewhat separate debates here. One is the impact of AI on society in general. And I think on that level we can be more optimistic, at least in the sense that people in general and decision makers now are scared enough that people understand that it's really dangerous if we can't know whether this article that I'm reading was written by AI, even though it poses itself as a research article. And same with images, it's dangerous if I don't know whether this is an actual photo or AI invention. So I think it's rational to assume that states and international collaborations will be active in this respect. But then the fate of the artists is a separate matter, which is not that interesting for for general politics and decision makers. And there, I think we can still win to some extent the economic battle, in the sense that international agreements would say that yes, artists are entitled to have fair compensation for the use of their artworks for harvesting or in the foundation models. But then there's the two practical questions. One is that how will we compensate it? Since the opposite side obviously claims that it's too complicated to figure out that how often was your poem used by the AI and how many cents should we then pay you for that use. It's way too complicated, we have to give up. And then the proposed solution is some kind of taxation. Like, okay, let's just apply some kind of taxation for all business that heavily relies on the use of foundation models, and then just distribute the money that's generated like this technical question that how the money will be harvested for us in return. And then the second question is that, okay, if this kind of system is put in place, then who gets to decide what is fair? I mean, fair pricing. And there we really are in the underdog position. It's quite probable that we don't have organizational structures where we could say that this organization is collectively bargaining with, let's say, EU, what is the fair compensation for human artworks used by foundation models. But I think at least in principle our goal should be that we wouldn't be just left at the mercy of the EU or international community, that they just decide some kind of percentage and we get to share whatever revenue that generates. Much better would be the situation where we would be collectively bargaining about what is the fair compensation. So at least I think we should put that forward as an actual goal, not just some kind of pipe dream. Thank you.
Shall I tell you? Shall I tell you a number? Shall I tell you a number, or 1 billion or so? I will give you an answer in another topic, but maybe it could be fit. So what I said, in Germany we have the extended collective licensing from the collecting society VG Bildkunst. And so we are actually in negotiation with Meta, Facebook and so on and so on. And we want a special amount from their amount, yearly amount. So I think it will be a long run in the end. And then, because we have this extended collective licensing system, so the collecting society speaks for all authors who are inside this society and give the money, spread it. So this has to be done in every country, for example, or we have some European organization which has to be organized or created. And on the other hand, so on European level we don't have European tax. That's we don't have. So it's the responsibility for all the countries itself. So you know that the big tech are more on the islands. It's cheaper. But maybe we can arrange some minimum tax for everybody or for every organizations who are dealing in this platform or AI apps or software and so on, to say, okay, it's equal where you are. You have to pay 5% from your thing you have income yearly. But it's actually not so easy to say how much money it would be. So I would like to have a European fund for authors in that case to make more grants. But it's only my idea.
Here is one solution from the Serbian artist Milica Ružičić. She says maybe we can advocate for the universal basic dividend to be divided to all artists from the profits made by AI companies. And to conclude, yeah, maybe a few words to conclude, or
we can make it.
I think there is a lot of action to be taken. And what I see as a problem is the acceleration of the AI. It's running much faster than we are, and the problems are multiplying. But I guess all artistic associations should remain aware of the change, of the everyday change and the pace of the AI, and find a prompt response to that.
Yeah, and you have to think this worldwide.
And it's a worldwide
problem.
There
are no borders.
And yeah, we were about to close. Yeah. One last question, and we will.
No. I just want to say we need.
I will introduce myself. I'm from Serbia, Daniel Glid. I have a very simple solution. Mm-hmm. Every creator should have a digital wallet, and AI should know what part of work will be taken for their purpose. So the only question is what is the amount of that portion? How much they have to pay? Is it 50% or 10% of their income? So this is my question. Or not a question, just...
Counter question. What is with the people who do paintings, have an exhibition in a museum? A person who likes this picture or this painting makes photography and liked it on social media or posted it. So the original person, the artist, the painter, doesn't know that the work is online. So the person cannot use the digital wallet. So
no, but AI knows. AI knows.
AI use maybe, but it's tricky.
Thank you. What I see as a problem is, one problem will be to track where is the influence of AI in the creative sector. That's one problem, and the other is the regulation.